Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the March edition of the community call from ToolJet, where this is the place for both of us as a two-way channel to communicate in the both ways, right from the product and the updates. Usually we used to do that, but today we're not doing the product updates for this time, but we'll be pushing on to the April. A couple of more things coming ahead, so keep watching in. But then in today's community call, in the March edition, we'll be having Arpit today, where he'll be driving us through and also walking us through entire code base of building the OpenAI ToolJet plugin, right? So right from now, Arpit also help us to look at the code base of the ToolJet and how you can start building plugins for ToolJet. So as an example use case, he will be walking us through with the OpenAI as a use case. So with that, we'll be kickstarting the session of all about that. As a just gentle reminder, if you have any questions or would you like to talk or speak, you can just raise your hand, or you can actually use the chat box to drop your comments or questions. Okay, so we'll be starting with a presentation. So part of the agenda, we'll be starting with a little bit introduction about ToolJet Marketplace, specifically the plugin marketplace, and then exploring the ToolJet's OpenAI plugin, which is actually ready to show you from Arpit's side, and then he'll be walking us through how we can build it as the next step in the demo part. And that is the main agenda of this call as well. And then we'll be jumping into the Q&A part of it. So with a little more interaction as well. So feel free to raise your hands and drop your comments. We would like to have it more and more interactive as moving on. All right. So just giving you a little bit introduction about what ToolJet Marketplace and also specifically this plugin marketplace. Right now, the way how you add data sources is by getting into the application and then setting a data source by just getting over through the data source option. And then you see a gallery of different data sources like databases, APIs, and storage services, where now you connect to that by giving your credentials and all of that, and then you connect to it. So, but then moving on as extending it to enable users to have multiple other integrations by themselves, or even something that can be brought in from a marketplace and install and start using it, is where the marketplace comes in. So it's all about extending the users, the integration levels on how they can use the integrations much more and connect to different other systems from ToolJet, whether it can be already ready to use, or it can be actually built by themselves and host or publish to ToolJet and start using it. So that is a key purpose of the marketplace. It's all the integration to help improvise and also enable more of integrations coming on, and then make it also a lightweight application. Right now, ToolJet comes with a whole bundle of all these data sources that is currently available for self-host people. So people who are using ToolJet as self-host, for building anything, they should be also rendering and also building all the other components, other data sources that might not be helpful for them. So with marketplace as moving on, which is not fully ready yet, but it is in the beta phase now. So in a couple of days, you should be able to see the beta coming in release. All right. So that's a high-level introduction to the plugin marketplace. And moving on, you'll be getting to know more about this, and we'll be talking much more about this. But given we are at a limited beta phase, so we'll be only talking a little bit about it. There are a couple of other things to talk about that. So that will be coming on in further updates. All right. So taking this specifically, you'd be able to also look at why we are talking about this specific plugin marketplace. It's because when we jump into Arpit's demo on building the actual plugin from scratch, so where this is now, from now, Arpit will be taking over. But to give you a context and set it up to you, the level of learnings that you would be taking out from this session, and also the whole live demo of building the plugin, is something that you should be able to build your own ToolJet plugin by the end of this call, right? So he'll be also walking us through the couple of documentation steps that you can keep in hand and start working alongside while you are building the any plugin of your choice. All right. So feel free to interrupt, or feel free to message or raise your hand or anything that you wanted to communicate. So I'll be handing it off to Arpit now. He'll be walking us through all of this. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Teja. Hi, everyone. So I'm Arpit. So I'll be walking you for building a new plugin for Marketplace. Let me share my screen. So yeah, this is a small application built on top of OpenAI plugin. So a simple demo. So it's connected with a PostgreSQL plugin as well as an OpenAI plugin. So we will be using their completion API to uh, generate a SQL code, which we will be populating the table after getting the result from Postgres. So we can say a SQL query to get all from to catalog. Okay, you can directly say is equal to shipped. So, like in case of editor, so it's something like this. A text widget has been connected with an event. So in a button. Hello? Am I?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Arpit,
sorry. Yeah.
if you go to the application where if you while you are showing the app that you have written down a text, but when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
run, so it called the Chat GPT plugin. Sorry, the OpenAI
Yeah. The
plugin.
OpenAI plugin which generates a SQL query
Hmm.
and it fires another query, basically the Postgres query, which populates the table widget at last. So
Okay.
it's so without actually writing code, you can actually use and build applications now.
All right. So the OpenAI plugin helped us to actually generate a SQL query from the normal text, and then ToolJet
Yes.
SQL, sorry, the Postgres plugin performed or executed that query which came from OpenAI.
Yeah.
It executed. Cool. All right.
Okay. So here is one of the documentation that you can follow to create a new plugin. So there are few prerequisites. One is you need to have Node.js 18.3 version installed as well as NPM 8.11 and ToolJet CLI. So to ToolJet CLI is important as in it will be actually helping us to create our plugin, to install it, and overall managing the entire ToolJet uh, plugin for our marketplace. And we need to populate two new ENVs in our ENV environment. One is enable marketplace feature and enable marketplace dev mode. So since we'll be developing a new plugin, we actually need the uh, dev mode to be turned on. Yeah. So after getting your ToolJet CLI install, which you can install it from npm package manager. So npm install at the and to ToolJet CLI. So I've already installed. So the very you you can just say tooljet dash dash help. It'll list out all the available details required for plugins. So we can actually create, delete, and install plugins. So we need to, so the command for creating a new plugin is actually tooljet plugin create and the plugin name. So yeah, so to create a new plugin, you need to use the tooljet CLI. It's tooljet plugin create OpenAI. The display name will be OpenAI. It's an API. It's yes, no. And again, our OpenAI directory is there with the file structure of library with our entry file index.ts and manifest.json and operations.json. Yeah, cool. We'll get into the directory and we'll start the watcher. And as soon as the build is ready, our plugin should be available in there. Yes. So as soon as I reload it, you can see the OpenAI plugin is available. Now, if I install it, it's installed. It will be available here.
All right, there we go. Okay.
Yep. So there is a kind of new update. We will be introducing something called as global data sources. So this we can talk about this later, probably in the next update. Yeah. So now then in the plugin section, your OpenAI plugin or whatever the new plugin you have installed will be available. And since our manifest.json file has nothing inside it, so it will show us a bare minimum skeleton of the UI. So now to add the UI, we have to go to operations.json. And okay, I'll start writing the basic parts. So where we were done with API key, remove this field.
So the OpenAI actually requires two fields to make the operations. One is the API key, another the organization ID. Where would be getting it from? Is it from the uh, OpenAI?
OpenAI console. Yeah, we'll be getting it from there.
All right. Okay.
And we can add this and okay. So both are actually required. So for the timing, we can just say API key is required and options are
What are options about? What does it mean when you say options there?
options is basically the type of string that like the input data that we'll be able to accept. So it will be a type of string and it will be encrypted. So it will be type string encrypted to true. Similarly, we'll have for organization ID where it will be the type string.
Okay.
And now let's go to our plugin, hit install. It's available. Go here, plugin section. Now we have a source form, which will
Okay.
accept an API key and an organization ID.
So these fields are getting generated from the manifest that you have just written.
Correct. So this fields, this field, this label, this icon, everything is being generated from this file. So let's add, where is it? Yeah. So you can find your API key references by going in like manage account. You get your API key and organization ID. So let's copy paste this organization ID, API key. Okay, now it will show us test connection method not implemented. So yeah, we need to write. Okay, let's write our first test connection function. So as soon as we hit to check whether a connection is possible or not, we are supposed to call a function called test connection. So instead, also I like to use something called as get connection, but this will take only source options.
So this index.ts file is where we set all the operations.
Yes, all the operations and the basic entry point to our plugin code.
Okay.
Wait, yep. So source options, type will be source. let's say any. So now to connect to OpenAPI, we need to use an npm package called like provided by them, OpenAPI Node.js library. We'll just go to install OpenAI, like any dependencies to plugin tree. We need to use this syntax. It will be like the npm install and the plugin name and dash dash workspaces. This workspaces will figure out which particular package it needs to install the npm module. So this for us, it will be, so let's stop the server. We'll say npm install OpenAI dash dash workspaces, and the name will be coming from package.json tooljet dash marketplace slash OpenAI. So if you check our JSON file, we have an OpenAI dependency available now. Okay, let's go to the API reference. So it's configuration and OpenAI. Let's copy this. Get connection function, we can say get the API key. Okay, we need to add the types first. So source options, we are expecting something called API key, which will be a string, and organization ID, which will be a string.
What is this type file is about, Arpit? The type.ts?
So TypeScript needs to be typed. So we already said like source option will be of source options types. So or else TypeScript will be screaming like red squiggly lines, it's error. Basically, it's a type safety. And second is organization. Source options, organization ID. Okay, so let's say const we have creds equals to new configuration, new configuration part. We need API key and organization ID. And we return the client. So now we can say the product will return the OpenAI client. And here we can get our OpenAI. So let's wrap it with the try catch block and say const. Okay, so it should get a list of engines. The list of engines is deprecated. Let's try with completions only. Oh, or for easy checking, okay, models is there. Okay, we can use this models list. OpenAI dot list models. Correct. Let's add a console log. And from there, we will have an object called status, then we can say connection successful, or else we can throw an error. Connection failed. And somewhere TypeScript is screaming. Let me check. Okay, this was the error. Okay, now let's go here and run our watcher file again. Yeah, We'll go back to our marketplace dashboard, reload the plugin. Now going back to our data source manager, I will pass the API key, organization ID, and now on testing connections. And you can see connection verified. And we have the response from the OpenAI API. So little success. Okay. It's kind of annoying. Can we just hide this somewhere? Oh, yeah. Thanks. Okay. So, yeah, we have actually built out a function which gets and checks the connection and saves our connection as the client. And we hit the save. And now we can access and build queries on top of the data source. Now you can see an OpenAI data source will be available in our query manager. So, but it does not have any UI. It's the basic enable transformation and everything. To build that, we need to make changes on the operations files. So operation file.json is responsible for building the UI for the query manager. So we need the property. So you can actually look into any other plugin. For example, here, and just okay. Then check what are the basic structure of the JSON should be. So we need an operation key. Be really great if I could copy paste the same thing. So we'll be using a drop-down component flips. So we have different types of components where the client the UI will determine which type of component we are referring to, and it will build a certain type of input over there. Okay, then we have a list. So for our list, it's an array. Let's say get completions. The value that we mentioned over here needs to be again described here. What do we actually mean by get completion, and what type of UI we are we need to render over there. So get completion will have something called as prompt, the value which will have which something similar to this. Basically, you can send this copy this one, and I'll change this to prompt. Okay. So prompt needs to be a code enter. We don't need to have, we don't need to have a class name. Height is important. Let's say height 150 pixels, and weight is not required. Description is okay. We don't need this. So now again, we have to reload the plugin to get the latest changes. And now on reloading the app and selecting OpenAI, now we have a drop down with get completion field. So we need to add more operations over there. Prompt. So, okay, I can go a little faster by copying the existing code, which I think so it will be better. We wasted a lot of time while building this. Okay, let's view file, copy. Yeah. So now with this, we have two lists. One is called completion and one operation called chat. So the completion operation will have prompt field, an input for max tokens, a temperature, a stop sequence, suffix, and chat will have almost similar, like my prompt, max tokens, temperature, stop sequence, suffix. So this I'm referring from the API only. So if you go to completions, you can check the request body needs a model, prompt, suffix, max tokens, temperature, top P. Like these are obviously optionals. So yeah. So now if I reload the app, let's create the query, and we are the completion with our query UI built. Similarly for chat, we have a different UI. For completion, we have this. Now, still our API is our plugin is not functional. We need to have all the operations working. So, okay. So before that, we will be expecting something called as prompt, which will be string, something called as max tokens, which can be number as well as string, temperature. We don't need top P, we can say we get stop sequence. I guess it's called stop sequence only. There's this, yes, stop sequence. Which is that? And the suffix. This can be null. So when we hit the preview or run button, which actually the API goes and runs the run functions over here. So the main operation, main query code will be here. So we can say const operation, which will become query.operations. And let's bring the OpenAI from the source options. And this is a format that we usually follow. We describe a let object. And for since we'll be returning a string from the API, so by default it'll be an object, and at the end we can assign it to a string. Then you can have our usual try catch block. So its statement will be helpful as we'll be adding more operations. So one will be completion. So we can say result. So we so before result it will be okay. Const, we can see the response. We need to use, let's see, wait a minute. Okay, so it requires a model, a prompt, max tokens, and temperature. We can copy this part, simply paste it here. So we already have the model, and we are getting the prompt from the user. Okay, misplace the type. Max token. Max token is an integer. Okay, we need to parse it then. Just we can check the type of max tokens. It's actually complete because I already wrote it once. So yeah. Temperature too. Okay, need a typo here. Okay, we also have a stop, which will be getting it from here again. Stop sequence. It's not there, we can say it's null. Also, we have a temperature. Concept assembly. So, oh, yep. And then we can say response.data. So it will be, so the structure will coming as choices.text dot choices.text. Okay. I'm reading, it's okay. Let's test it. Hello. Okay, it ran, but nothing happened. Okay, there is an error. Okay. I did pass the completion. I guess there's something wrong with, let's see. Okay, my bad. And operation also, this is completion. See, yep. Still. Okay, we need to check what are the query options. Okay, we have another over here. Okay, OpenAI index 515. Okay, 13th column. Prompt does not exist on types. It does exist though. Let's see. Query options. Query options is here. Operations. Completion is prompt. Prompt is the key. Okay. Then this feeling. This is okay. This is not the reason why this is not working. Actually, it worked. Yeah. So yeah, the completion API from the OpenAI did work. So we used this API and we can say, okay, let's test something else. And unique. Yeah, so my tokens limit is removed. So let's pass 200 is token limit. Yeah, they need more. User set. Okay, there is a limit in the token file, I guess. Okay, let's see. So wait, okay, where did we? That's token operation star. Yeah, okay, that's the reason. Yep. Yeah, we have a working plugin now. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Arpit. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So we have a working plugin called OpenAPI, which has an like two operations. Only one operation is working, which is using their completion API. So we just try to get a function, a JavaScript function, to find unique letters from a string. So if we hit preview, and yeah, it worked. So we can actually test this in a JavaScript environment. Let's see. So let's say, okay, let's say queries dot. Okay, let's copy the path directly from here. Save. Okay. So on query success, let's see, an event handler on query success, it will run our JS query. So open up our console and hit fire. Yes, it worked. It's pretty. It's a working result. I think so. We are done, Teja.
Yeah, definitely. So right from creating the plugin, so initially there was a few
Yeah.
difficulties.
Yes,
All the way
it
up.
was mainly from my side. I probably was in a very old branch.
All
That's
right.
the reason. Yeah. Where
Maybe
is
you can
Zoom?
stop the screen share.
Yep. Good.
Yeah, there
Yep.
you go.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a interesting
Yeah.
ride going through all the ups and downs over the times, and I hope you had fun time debugging as well.
Yes.
It's not been a live coding, but also a lot of debugging happened in the beginning and all the way up. But then, yes, it's been an interesting for me as well, by going through the code base and also trying to generate the templates. I thought we would be coding it from the scratch about all the plugin window that we have seen. But then it was quite interesting for to set it as a template and give the options to generate automatically, and then fetching up the data and making an API, and also making a test connection. It's pretty interesting. So possibly this could help the viewers to actually build their own plugins by using the ToolJet CLI, and then also set the operations in the specific files and the directories as shown by Arpit. So with that,
Yeah.
I hope for any other further questions, maybe you can use the chat box there, or you can raise your hand, or you can also unmute yourself and talk to us. Maybe it's related to plugins or the product or anything that you wish to communicate. So we'll be happy to talk to you.
And also one more thing I would like to add, to actually get your plugins published, you can simply create a PR against our repo, and someone from the team will be assigned to review the code, and probably in a week or two it will be published.
All right. So to publish your own plugin that you had built to the public, you would be needing to make a PR, raise a PR with all your changes, and then it goes through the review. And then once it's done, you should be able to, I mean, ToolJet Cloud users should be able to find the new plugin that's been downloaded by you and accessible across. So that should be the go. We'll pause for a while and see any questions or anything to talk from your side. So we look forward for that. All right. If no questions are coming along, you could also reach us out at our Slack workspace. You can join at tooljet.com/Slack, and you can drop your questions in general, or you can ask anything about product or the plugins, anything of your queries in the Slack workspace. So we should be ready to address your queries. And with that being said, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had fun time learning, building, and also debugging all the way along. So hope you had fun time doing this, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye.